I'm Zach,
And I'm Lindsay.
and this is the Game Forum's first impression of Predator Hunting Ground, the free trial weekend.
And with each of our first impressions, we only get to play the game for 2 hours and we can't talk to each other before we film this video.
Do you have anything positive to say about this?
I think it has some interesting stuff with it.
Yeah,
Like they have some really cool features in it that I do like. It has a high level of customization. You can really get in there and tweak what you want your predator and your guys to look like.
yeah,
I do like how the anything you shoot, like the limbs on the trees and stuff, will actually like blow off, and you can pretty well damage any part of the flora and fauna around the
yeah,
level, which is
yeah,
cool. It's very reminiscent of the movies.
yeah, that is
Um,
true.
the graphics are not that bad, but I do have to say, like, I feel the level of polish on this game is nowhere close to most AAA games.
It's so blurry. Like,
Well,
it gave me a
it's
headache.
like it's not, I guess, blurry. I just feel like this is not in 60 FPS. Like
No.
it's like janky because like
Oh,
so
yeah.
many times I would be like turning and moving and trying to track the predator, and it's like I can feel that like sluggishness in the screen response.
Yeah, that was a major complaint that I had with when you're playing against the soldiers. It is very hard to, like, get a get a line of sight on the predator.
hmm did you actually get to play as the predator at all
Just
against people?
twice. Just twice. And that was with like 15-minute wait to find a match.
Yeah, I only got to play as the Predator one time,
Yeah.
and it took me probably 7 or 8 minutes to wait for a queue to actually get
Yeah.
in as the Predator.
Yeah. How'd you like the Predator?
I like the Predator pretty good. One of the big problems though is I could not really differentiate like the human players
Yeah.
from the AI players.
Yeah, I
Like I
couldn't
kept
either.
killing people, and I'm like, that's not a person? Is that a person? Because they're all down there running around shooting each other,
Yeah.
and I can't tell if I'm helping the humans or hurting them, and I don't
Yeah.
know if that's intentional or not.
And like that's a big issue. Like,
Yes.
what
Um.
else? The customization is pretty cool for
Yes.
like the cosmetics stuff. The only issue that I see though is that the weapon customization is really barren, and this is a free trial, which means this is the full game. And
Yes.
I felt like that was like the game's really empty. And you earned, I don't even remember what that currency you can find throughout the map. You earn
hmm
that really quickly, and you can like buy up everything in the game easily.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely earn the money a lot faster than I thought you would.
Plus the
Um.
loot boxes too. So it's like they're just giving you a bunch of stuff.
One thing I did notice though with the loot boxes,
Yeah,
and I don't know if you caught this or not, I opened a bunch of them because I mean, it's like every round I did, I got like
yeah,
3 to 5 loot boxes.
yeah,
But after the first couple, like nearly everything I got from a loot box was like a duplicate. So I'd
yeah. I
only
did
really
notice
get like
that.
one thing new per loot box, maybe two. I
Yeah,
after maybe 4 or 5 loot boxes, I never really got three brand new things.
yeah. I did notice that as well. I got a
Mm.
lot of the same like skins and stuff, but the customization is really cool, especially for the Predator with like the different
Yeah.
masks and like the skin textures and stuff. It was really cool. They did a good job, but they were also like licensed out by Fox, so they
Yeah.
they were gonna be given like everything that
Well,
they needed.
one thing I thought was kind of strange. One of the first things I unlocked was like a colored bandana,
Yeah,
and I went to like go equip it, but I couldn't because I have to actually purchase the bandana and then I get access to the bandana. What I had unlocked is just the color scheme of that bandana.
oh, wow.
So, so even if like, it shows, hey, you just unlocked a blue bandana, you have to go in and buy the bandana, the base form, and then you have the access to the color variant. It
Yeah.
doesn't unlock for you to immediately just put on that blue bandana. So I thought
Yeah,
that was kind of a weird way to do things.
that's pretty weird. I don't know. This game felt promising but empty, but I mean it was fun, but I
No,
don't
it
think
was
it's $40 fun.
no, it's not $40 fun. Like $20, I would definitely say like check it out if you're really a big Predator fan. And I like all
Yeah.
the Predator movies. I like, I've seen all of them.
Yeah.
But one thing I look at too is I was really curious to see like, okay, are they just gonna have like this fire team go out into the jungle and hunt down a predator? And I really like how they did not do that
Yeah.
because in like the old movie, like the original Predator movie, they weren't going into the jungle to hunt down a predator. They were on a mission. These were
Yeah.
like, commandos on another mission, and the predator just happened to stumble upon them and put them into this like sudden firefight.
Yeah, that was cool. Did you happen to notice that if you look down in the like water where it meets the like makes mud, you can actually like cover yourself in mud?
Yeah, I actually didn't do that, but I read in the thing you could,
Yeah, like
and
that's pretty cool.
I do think there should have been like a better tutorial for the players to really outline what kind of stuff they can do.
Oh yeah.
Because there was a tutorial for the Predator, but there was no tutorial for the players.
Yeah, and the development studio, Ilphonic, they've only made one more game, and that was the Friday the 13th game, and that one felt like equally as janky as this one. So
Hmm.
that may just be their like forte. Like they're probably a very small team. They're just it's
Yeah.
odd because they're a small team taking on big franchises, and it's like it seems like they're getting away with it. Like they're doing okay, or they're not doing
Yeah.
a great job, but it's being like critically appraised. Like, oh yeah, Friday the 13th was a great game. This might take some time, but I don't know. I'm not seeing a lot of
Well,
hype for it.
I definitely feel like the bones of this game are good. Like
Yeah,
I like the fact that, the players have to do a mission and they just have to try and get through it without really running into the predator or fighting the predator off.
yeah,
Um like on the flip side, like I feel like everybody is like really vulnerable in this. Like the people, the predator,
yeah,
um like I don't feel like anyone really is super overpowered. Like everybody is like, "Oh my god, I'm about to die." Like as the
yeah,
players, um we got in a situation. I did one round where we were getting so ganged up on by just the AI mercenaries.
yeah,
Like they were killing us, and then the predator came in, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like half our team went down,
yeah,
and like then the predator shows up. I'm like, "We are all gonna die." We actually ended up fighting the people back, and the predator left because they were shooting at him too.
yeah,
Um, but I mean, it got down to like one guy, and he started like rezzing us.
yeah,
Um, and I'm not sure how the res system works in this, the reinforcements thing. Like, do they have to go do a mission to get people back in the game? Because I died in one of them, and like I had two guys. Actually, I died in two games. In
yeah,
the first game, there was three of us, and the other two guys just went on the mission for like almost 10 minutes without me. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there, like, okay, I guess I'll just spectate. Don't bother bringing me back. And then in the next game, or a couple games later, I was with a team of four, and it was that one where we all got ganged up on, and it just got down to like one guy, and he rezzed another guy, and then they went and did the reinforcements thing, and we both got called back in just like a couple minutes. I mean, it was maybe like a minute and a half later. So I'm
huh,
assuming it's dependent on the players that are left alive,
yeah.
but that's also going to really make or break your experience for the game.
Yeah, yeah, because I did notice that. because you can revive, but if they're like down to like completely out, then yeah, I did get respawned through the reinforcement thing once, but I didn't. It wasn't clear as to why. I was just kind of like, oh, okay.
I think they have to like go to a station and like call it in or something.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, it wasn't very clear. Like none of that was really well explained.
No, no, it wasn't. Like even like none of this was really explained very well. There's not a lot of like, hey, do this. It was just like they plop you into a game and it's like they like the classes weren't really well explained, and I think you only have access to two, but like the second one, you have to be like a super high level to get to play.
Yeah. Now, one thing I did have to say I liked was I was expecting to just after the first game, I'm like, okay, great, we just do the same mission over and over and over again.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is going to be really predictable, but it looks like they have several different variants of missions for the same map. Because
yeah,
the
which is
first one
good.
I did was like we had to find these trucks like pumping pollution into the streams, and then the second one I did was like have to stop these arms dealers and find their shipments and stuff. And I'm like, okay, so it looks like even in
Hmm.
the same map, they can add in a lot of replayability by assigning you different missions that'll have you going in different directions and doing different objectives.
That's cool. So, did you do anything that consisted of you like having to sneak into a camp and assassinate someone?
No, I didn't. I pretty
So,
much just had those two missions, like
so
back and
I
forth.
okay. So I did the assassination one, but I never actually did the vehicle pollution one. That's not one that I actually played.
And I say
So
I
that's
didn't do
pretty
an
cool.
assassination one. See,
Yeah.
stuff like that gives it a lot more replayability, which I like.
Yeah, and
Uh,
hopefully it has like a good chunk of maps and not like two or three.
yeah, I'm going to assume with a game like this, especially from a smaller team, there's probably not going to be a huge amount and variety of maps.
Yeah,
But if each map, maybe let's say, has 5 or 6 different objectives that could have you going all sorts of different areas, that would kind of put in a lot more replayability because the map was pretty big. It's not a
yeah,
small map at all.
yeah. And I will say the jungle is really dense. Like they did do a good
Yes.
job of making it feel like an actual jungle. And yeah, you know what? I will take it back because I kind of I was going into this impressions with a negative process, but like thinking about it, like the one of the times that we were doing one of the missions and the predator, like I heard him, and so I was like looking up in the trees. And I'm like, oh man, this is actually kind of cool. And then you see the red laser, and you start hearing that sound. And like, oh crap, he's firing. And then you can see him, even though he's invisible. You can kind of see the outline, and
Yeah.
you can see the branches moving that he's running across. I'm like, this is just like the movie. Like they actually like
There,
nailed it.
there was one of the first missions I did, and we were all running. The first mission I did, like I hardly ever saw the predator at all. I don't think
Yeah.
the guy played the tutorial and didn't know how to do anything or find us.
Oh
And
wow.
I only saw him like twice the whole game. I'm like, okay, I guess there's no predator in this game. Um, and then the next one, we had like a hyper aggressive predator that was just like up in our faces constantly. And I'm like, never mind, the predator's like right here all the time.
Yeah.
Um, so the play styles are very different too. But in one of them though, we were like walking down a creek because we had to like follow this river back to where the pollution was.
Yeah.
And I started hearing that noise, and like the rest of my team is in front of me, and I all see them start looking up in the trees, and then
Yeah.
I see them like running across like invisible, and we all start shooting, and it's like tearing the branches down and all this stuff, and it just made me think. I'm like, man, this is like spot on for like what the movie was like.
Yeah. And like with the predator abilities, the heat seeking, like where it switches over,
Mhm.
and then the healing thing is like the same one from the at least from what I remember the first Predator
Yeah,
movie. You can do the self destruct, like all the sounds are correct. Like I do have to give it to them. They nailed the Predator game, and this might be like the best Predator game, but I don't know. There was a Aliens versus Predator game last gen that was really good, but this is like the most like honest,
Yes.
like one to
As
one
far as
between
like
each.
Predator goes and the asymmetric combat goes, I feel like it's really well done because when you were the Predator, like you don't feel like superly overpowered.
Yeah,
Like,
you felt like
I was
you
the
had to pick them
Predator.
off.
I was the Predator, and I went in there assuming I was just gonna be able to like really mess some people up.
Yeah,
And like I almost died like immediately, and I'm like, oh, never mind. I'm like, I need to get back.
yeah,
Um, and with all the mercenaries and stuff, like I started healing and the mercenaries were shooting at me and it gave away my position to the players. Um,
huh,
and what ended up happening, I ended up taking out like two of the players, and they revived them and they ended up all ganging up on me and killed me. But I was able to activate the bomb and killed
ooh,
all four players. And
oh,
so I guess it was like a draw. And I'm like, ooh, this is different.
that's pretty cool. I didn't.
Because,
Yeah, I was never able to actually do that with the bomb.
like, I got like shot out of one of the branches and was like attacking a player.
Yeah,
And, but there was like a ton of mercenaries around us too. So they couldn't just focus on fighting me. And because of that, I was able to, I was trying to heal myself, but it takes so long to heal. But I was able to have enough time to activate the self-destruct sequence before they could like try and kill me.
yeah,
Like it started the countdown, and I don't think they understood what was happening because they're like still pinned down with all the mercenaries. But you start hearing that timer thing count down,
yeah,
and then it goes off, and it's like a mushroom cloud, and then it played like an ending cinematic of like reinforcement troops arriving and there's just like a giant flaming smoldering crater and everything.
yeah,
So I'm like, that's pretty cool. So even if you kill the predator, you still have to like run.
yeah. That is cool. God, I want to play more of this, but I don't want to spend the money to play it.
Well, I think the biggest problem with it is if they could fix like the frame rate and some of the bugginess on stuff.
Yeah,
I think it would be a really good game because I really like a lot of the stuff they have going for it.
yeah,
Like, I love the levels of customization they have. It feels like you unlock a lot of stuff pretty quick. You've got a lot of different options for like how you want to build and tailor your loadout. You have
yeah.
like, sniper rifles, machine guns, shotguns. You have a minigun as like a secondary backup kind of thing.
Did you
Like, there's
see
a
one
lot
of
of
the
different.
Yeah, one of the pre-order bonuses was the original minigun from the first Predator.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool.
So I really like a lot of the stuff they're doing with this game. I just it's that level of polish really kind of holds it back a little for me. It
Yeah,
doesn't like break the game for me, but it does kind of lead to some frustrating moments, especially when you've got like 10 soldiers running around trying to shoot at you. You got the predator running around, and with it being like nearly invisible running in the tree line, you really need that high fidelity, like 60 FPS
yeah,
to really be in that moment and try and get those hits in. And that's where it kind of like bogs down a little.
yeah. And that's probably the one thing I'm not expecting them to actually fix. I don't think they're gonna. I mean, I don't know. There could be patches, but this being the full trial, it's before their release. Maybe they have a major day one patch that fixes a lot of things, but I don't know. I'm hope. Well, I guess I'm not hoping, but it's very likely that this game is going to be heavily discounted. Like I don't
Hmm.
know, maybe May, June, July. So it might be worth picking up then. But for like $40, I feel like that's a little much for this, especially not the quantity of what they're giving you, but the quality.
Yeah. And like I said, I agree with you on a lot of that. I guess I feel like very torn because I
Yeah,
feel like this has the potential to be like one of the very best asymmetrical shooters. Like I
yeah,
love the soldiers doing missions. I love like the Predator not being so stupidly overpowered, like nobody
Yeah.
has a chance of beating it. Um, everything really feels like very balanced. It's just those technical issues really kind of hold it back from being just. I mean, if the game was 60 FPS and like no bugs at all, and the
Yeah.
bugs aren't game breaking, but they're definitely noticeable.
Yeah.
If not for those two things, I would like immediately buy this game and recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
Um, but without the game being at that level of fidelity, if you like Predator and you like asymmetrical combat games, I would still recommend it. And
Yeah.
hopefully, fingers crossed, there's a day one patch, or maybe they patch it later. Um, but $40 is a bit steep for what they're asking for.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And like with the customization, like with the rifle, the barrel attachment, it's just a suppressor. And so that's
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, I would hope that there'd be more, but I'm not expecting it.
Well,
Uh,
I guess in all honesty, like after playing, Call of Duty Modern
that
Warfare,
did
I
spoil
do
us.
feel a bit spoiled
Yeah,
because that game has so many attachments, so many weapon customizations. With this game, you can go in, you can what is it, change the size of the magazine, you can
yeah,
add like a suppressor or muzzle brake to the front of the gun, and you can go in and change out your optic, which is pretty standard for most games. I don't really feel like it's lacking. It's just
yeah,
not at the level of the new Call of Duty. But I mean, it's pretty comparable to most of the older Call of Duties.
yeah. Well, I guess to be fair, like upgrading your stock on your rifle is not going to help you kill the predator any faster. So I guess
Yeah.
they don't need to have like all these, customization options. Like overall, they're not gonna make things easier. So I guess that makes a little more sense. It's
Yeah.
it's odd that this is a really good game, a really good movie based video game with high quality assets, and they have like Fox has licensed everything to them, but it's like the wrong team. It's the
Yeah.
right team making the right style of game, but they're not big enough. Like this was way too
Okay.
ambitious.
That's kind of what I would have to say. I don't think it's the wrong team. I think they've done a great job of
That
putting
is
this
true.
game together. Like, because they could have easily just been like, here's a predator, he's unstoppable, and this team is in there to fight the predator, and that's it.
Yeah,
Like, if their team had just been given a little bit bigger budget, or could, like, you know, get another studio to really polish out some of the internal mechanics of the game, I
yeah,
think this would be like a truly great game that would really take off.
yeah.
Um,
I will say that. Yeah, I mean, for their second game, the first being the Friday the 13th game, which wasn't received very well, but everyone loved it and was like, there's a whole, it would have continued, but I think the guy who owns the rights to the actual like Jason Voorhees character, like sued
mhm.
them, so they had to cease
Ah,
production on the game. So that game could have, like gotten better. So they may be like, oh crap, we gotta, full force onto this game to get some money because we had to stop working on, you know,
yeah.
maybe that's what happened. But it's just odd that they had Fox behind them and published by Sony. You would think that there'd be a little bit more quality here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it also, is probably going to be looked at as a more budget title. They weren't shooting for the $60,
Yeah,
so I mean, I do think it's for all the stuff they have in there, like $40 for a marketing team to say it's like, okay, this isn't a $60 game, we'll do $40. I mean, that's fair. Like they are bringing a lot to the table. I just feel like if they had really polished up, the frame rate issues and some of the bugs, I'd say $40 is more than fair.
yeah,
But with those two issues really holding it back again, I think that's I think $20-$30 is probably more accurate.
yeah. And I would expect a fair price drop soon. Sony would do well if they were to put this as a PlayStation Plus game, like in the next few months.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I
I
feel like a
mean,
lot of
I
people
definitely
enjoy this.
enjoyed it. I mean,
Yeah,
if when this game goes on sale, I will buy it and I will play a good bit of it.
yeah, yeah. If I ever see it on sale, I would absolutely pick it up. I did enjoy it. It was fun.
All right, I guess that's about all we got for this one then.
All right. Well, that was our first impressions of the Predator Hunting Grounds beta or free trial. I'm Zach,
And I'm Lindsay.
and this is the Game Forum.
All right, let's go ahead and stop recording and
Yeah.
save this.